Hello and welcome to a Smite commentary. First of all, a small disclaimer. The gameplay you're watching in the background is from a bot arena gameplay because I was a bit lazy when it comes to doing this live. Plus it's rather difficult to play ULA and do it live at the same time, well, especially with a controller, I've found. So, today we're going to be talking about ranked. About 4 months ago I made a video saying that I would be stopped playing ranked. Last night I decided to start playing ranked again. The PlayStation community has been rather toxic. I've seen more toxic messages from the Smite player base compared to almost a decade of online gaming. Personally, I've suffered from insults. I've seen people say things like report this player for feeding before a poor performance. I've also seen dozens of messages between players saying report, as well as having people say you suck, stop playing the game, quit, uninstall, etc, etc. I've personally been the subject of these insults and I am unhappy to admit I have unfortunately lost my temper 1 or 2 times when it comes to players. There's an inconvenient truth about this. That is, every player has a bad game and every player has poor performances, so I don't quite understand the attitude of let's report players for bad games, or the attitude that we should be reporting players for bad games because they shouldn't be playing ranked. If you do have this attitude and you do play ranked, here's my advice: stop playing ranked. You're the sort of player who shouldn't be playing ranked in the first place because you have the wrong mentality and attitude in place. The correct attitude you should be having should be it's a team game. You shouldn't be shouting at your teammates. Yes, things can go wrong, you should probably learn from that, but you should also accept when things go wrong and accept it is a team game and shouting at people is not going to make them get any better. Here's a very good example, one that comes to my head. In school, you were probably shouted at by your teacher. Did this improve your grades at all? No, it didn't. So you shouting at someone online is not really going to improve their gameplay. In fact, it's probably going to hinder them, and it's probably going to tilt them towards making bigger mistakes and doing the wrong thing. So by you reporting players, you're actually making the community more toxic and actually making the community smaller, which means you're going to have less good matches in the future. So you shouldn't really be reporting players for doing badly, because that's not really the function of the report system, and if you think it is, then you should probably quit playing ranked, because quite simply you don't have the right player mentality. Okay. So that's the first bit of the rant. I guess the next bit of the rant is going to be about player attitude. If you do have this attitude, then you are just setting yourself up to fail, because you're pinpointing your poor performance and the poor performance in general solely on someone else, instead of owning up to the problem and owning up to what actually went wrong and understanding and learning from what went wrong. You are blaming the weather, or you're blaming something that's completely out of your control, as opposed to understanding what's in your control and what you could have done better. As I said earlier, my experience with the community has been toxic. In fact, I would describe it as a toxic waste dump. The threats of reporting players is so common, even over poor performance, that it's actually quite a bit of a joke. Players are unwilling to give advice or even take advice, blaming others for any mistakes. We all have bad games. Oh, the horror. Poor performance does happen, deal with it. And if you can't deal with it, then I have bad news for you, probably not going to be able to cope with the real world at all. Smite is, at the end of the day, a team game. You should learn from every experience you are given when it comes to Smite, learning how to play from behind, learning how to play when this happens, learning to play in certain matchups. Sometimes it really isn't your fault and there's really nothing much you could really do, especially when your team does not pull their weight or play their role correctly. In cases like that, you should just accept the loss and move on. Far too many people are willing to throw insults and use bad manners, as opposed to giving people useful advice and information about where they possibly would have went wrong and what they should have done during that time. At the end of the day, I'm currently a low-level ranked player, and I've seen a lot of toxic comments as well as toxic messages. This is in my honest opinion, unacceptable, and this is one of the reasons why the player base is so tiny. Yet people producing this toxicness don't necessarily understand or are unwilling to hear this, and feel that it's because there's not enough players in general, as opposed to their attitude and comments are one of the reasons why there's not many players playing the game mode. I'm not sure about you, but I really don't want to be spending 10 minutes only to be shouted at by a teammate, unwilling to take note that part of the loss was his fault, and instead decides to blame it solely on the mid laner because the mid laner didn't get the best KDA. KDAs don't tell you the whole story. You should be watching someone's gameplay and seeing how they react and what they do. Sometimes people can, well, do things wrong, but even then, you're not really going to learn much about a player. Instead, you should watch what someone does over a course of period of time, but you can't really do that because matchmaking is random, so there's that. So just accept that it is random and just deal with it. And if you can't deal with it, and you just get extremely hung up on the fact that you're losing, again, wrong attitude, you should probably quit playing ranked, especially if you like to report people. That's my advice to you. If you like to report people for bad behaviour, you shouldn't be playing ranked at all. And if you like to report people because they didn't listen to you, or you like to send them insults, then you probably shouldn't be playing ranked either. In this video right now, you can see me missing a bunch of shots. It happens. Deal with it. Now, one of the other things that I will say is you should probably as well think that the person you're talking to is just another human being behind the wall, which can be pretty hard to do. I will admit that there has been times where I've shouted at people, and that is my fault. I've gone, oh, it's his fault, when in reality it probably was my fault to a point. You just have to roll the punches and deal with it. It's what, if you're an adult, you should be doing anyway. At the end of the day, Smite is not a job, and well, a video game, you're meant to have fun with it, so you should probably be trying to have as much fun as possible, as opposed to getting hung up over things. I don't quite know how to solve the toxicity problem when it comes to Smite's ranked. Part of me feels that you should be looking at making it so the system isn't so abusable, but I'm not sure how. You should also as well look at trying to make the matchmaking a lot smoother and faster. I get that some people will get angry, especially if they spend 10 minutes in the queue only to lose because their team isn't carrying their weight. But you should look at it the other way. That person spent 10 minutes in the queue and has now died 15 dozen times and is now being shouted at by abuse. You really wouldn't like it in that spot, would you? Far too many people as well, from what I've seen in the ranks, are unable or unwilling to play from behind. They are also as well pretty much unable to concede certain games or losses, and are very too quick to surrender when they have an opportunity to actually win. And when they don't have an opportunity to win, people will not give up. Maybe some of this could be down to the lack of experience. I'm not too sure. Okay, so we've been going on about player attitude now for about 9 minutes or so, and my attitude has been well, I'm going to try and correct it so I don't have any of these traits, but it's going to take a lot of will to do that. What I'm going to discuss now at the end of the video is wards. One of the attitudes I've seen a lot of players have is, we need wards, I'm not going to buy wards. If you need wards, you should be buying wards, regardless of what role you're in. If you are the mentality that you shouldn't be buying wards because you're the carry, you're doing it wrong. There's only so many wards you can carry as a player, and only so many you can actually keep on you. I believe, currently at the moment, there is around about 16 places on the minimap which you want to be placing wards. Given how there's 5 players, that's almost everybody having 2 wards each, with 2 wards down, covering the entire map. Simply put, one player can't cover the entire map with wards, so you shouldn't rely on that one player. You should be pulling your own weight as well. I am going to return to ranked later tonight, and with the attitude that any toxic messages, I'm literally just going to delete. I'm not going to bother looking at them at all. Anybody saying, well, I'll report you for feeding, I'm not going to bother reporting them for feeding. Unless, of course, they deliberately run into the fountain, in which case I will be doing it. But so far at the moment, I've yet to notice anyone do that. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you again next time. You may see some more gameplay shortly from some ranked, but I'm not too sure. Who knows? Depends on how I feel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and there you go.